everybody. We are so excited about this. Oh my word. All day long I've been thinking about this training, not just because I'm the one doing it, but this is one of my favorite things to talk about. And tonight you get myself and Alicia Limbo, which I'm going to bring her on here in just a minute. But say hi when you're hopping on. Make sure you guys tag your teams and have them hop on with us. Um, but we're going to teach you guys tonight some super simple steps on how to pivot the conversation, because let me know if you've already had conversations in the last couple of days and you're like, okay, I started the conversation and now what? Now what happens? What do I do now? That was me. I have been there. I will tell you guys, when I first got into network marketing, I was literally the best example of ignorance on fire. I didn't know what I was doing. What I was doing was very terrible, but I was so excited about it that people were on board. I was posturing well before I really knew what that was. And that's going to be a big part about what we're going to talk about tonight. But what I really want to hit on is how to actually take those conversations from here to there, right? You start the conversations with everybody. And that's the whole crux of this thing, right? This is how I'm building my business. Tina's building her business. Leisha's building hers. Aaron's building his. We're all doing that. We're just starting conversations. If you didn't know this, all business is just conversation. It doesn't matter what business you're in. It all starts with a conversation. We're professional problem solvers, but you got to get to the point of where you understand the problem in people, and that can start to happen when you're having the conversation. So I'm going to hit a couple of things that I want you guys to write down. Hold on, sorry, give me 1 second here. I got to switch my view. Okay, sorry about that. My view is all weird. I couldn't see everybody. So one of the things I want you guys to think about when you're sending these messages, there's a couple of things. Getting yourself into the right mental space when you even start the conversation is very, very important. And Alicia's going to highlight that a little bit in a minute. But I wanted to bring that up. Really getting to a place where when you go to send the message, I do this too. When I go to send the message, I'm not going to send even my beginning conversation message when I'm not in a great spot, right? If I'm mad or irritated or I'm tired or I just really don't want to do this, because even if you think that's not how you're coming across, that is actually how you're coming across. And I got to watch it. I got to watch it because my voice, my attitude, my vibe is strong when I'm in a bad mood. And that immediately comes out. I hate it, actually. I'm working on it. Okay, I'm not quite there yet. Oh, I gotta watch it because I get really, I get irritated like that. And so if I realize that I haven't sent messages today and it's something I have to do, but I'm mentally like, this is a chore and I'm mad and I don't want to do this and this is pissing me off and that's pissing me off. That's where my brain is. I already know I'm not going to have success in my conversations. Okay? So step one, before we even start, we need to make sure that mentally you're in the right space. Now, if you're in a bad space and you want to get to a good space, everybody should have some tricks that they know, right? We know, right? There's songs that jazz you up, right? That can be a very simple thing that you can do. You have to get your posture right before you start sending those messages. So whatever you need to do. Do you need to go for a run? I'm guessing Aaron Parker does a bunch of push-ups or something before he sends his. That's not me. I will snap my arms. I'm very weak. So I won't do that, but I will listen to some music that gets me excited, right? I like 90s rap. I feel invincible when I'm listening to 90s, early 2000s. Still some of my favorite music. Like, it really was the best. Really anything in the 90s, I think, was the best. But anyway, whatever it is that gets you in that space, right? You need to make sure that you're doing that. Because if you're scared, if you're mad, if you're irritated, if you're nervous, that's going to come across, okay? So that is step one. Step one, okay? And when you're having these conversations, and bear with me because I have notes on two different things here, and I just want to make sure that I'm not messing that up. When you begin to have that conversation, and you're postured and you're feeling confident, you're feeling excited. You want to really come across with that certainty and that posture. Have you ever, is anybody in here a recovering people pleaser? Because I am. I constantly felt like I was bothering people. So I would send a message and be like, hey girl, I hope you're doing okay. I'm so sorry to bother you right now. And if this is at a bad time, like, please don't even read this right now. Like, I'm so sorry if, like, I would send these messages that were very much not confident. This was when I had gotten a little past the whole ignorance on fire stage. And I was just like, oh, ooh, gosh, I hope I'm not bothering you. You know, you probably aren't even interested in this. And if not, just skim past, if not. But if by a slight chance you might be. And please let me know if I'm bothering you. Like, it was so awful. It's shocking that I recruited anyone ever, honestly. And most of them at that time in my career just came because I was so excited that I was just like falling forward, basically. And people were like, well, she's crazy, but she seems like a good time. And I love how she talks about this stuff. So I'm in. And that's where I started my beginning recruiting. But when I got to be really intentional about it, and I started realizing how I was showing up in my conversations and how that wasn't translating anymore, right? Because I was nervous and I felt like I was bothering people. And I felt like all the people who told me that messaging was spammy, the network marketing was a pyramid scheme. Every single message I sent, I was bracing myself for that. Like, okay, they're gonna say it. I know they're gonna say it. So I'm already putting that out there, right? Guess what I got? Guess what responses I started getting? First of all, is this a pyramid scheme? How dare you? Okay. The messages were not working. I was making people mad. I was turning them off from my business, and it didn't work. So, hang on, let me scroll back here. So, when you start to have that conversation and you're postured well, the first thing you want to do is literally consider the other person and show a genuine interest. Okay. This is why when we talk to you guys about starting the conversations, you're being just genuinely kind. How are you? Hey girl, I just saw you were active online. How have you been? I haven't talked to you in months. I saw you were in Mexico last week. That looked amazing. I'm very jealous. Just being an authentic, showing a genuine concern, connection, whatever it is, you're going to have to learn how to immediately, and this will take a little bit of time, but I want you to think about it, immediately figure out how to make a heart connection with somebody. And it doesn't have to be deep. But you know when someone's being authentic with you, do you not? You can feel when someone's vibes are off, right? If they're coming to you and they want something, we know what that feels like, right? I'm actually an eternal skeptic, and I assume everyone is trying to scam me or something. I'm also working on that too. And so it took me a very long time to not assume because that's how I thought of other people, that's how we're thinking about me. How can I be more authentic? How can I show up more authentic in this? So you have to have some genuine interest. Before you even think about selling them something or even considering pivoting the conversation, we have to build that genuine connection, okay? And it doesn't have to take long. It can be one conversation. It can be one sentence that maybe asks a question about them, right? We were talking about this too. Alesha's going to hit on this even more in a minute. The questioning. I was in two different three-way chats today, and I coached both of them on before you throw a video out, you need to ask some questions. We've got to ask questions. And that's part of learning, right? That's part of learning. So you want to ask some questions. You want to actively listen and find out where this person is. Where is this person? Ask some genuine questions. Okay? Then, as you're having that conversation, you can begin to pivot the conversation a little bit because there may be a need that comes up. Okay, so here's an example of that. Let's say you message somebody and you say, girl, I haven't seen you in forever. But I saw you were active online tonight. Now, keep in mind, this is somebody that you've already had a previous conversation. You have a relationship, okay? That is an important part. Well, I'll touch on that in a second. You guys went to Mexico over Christmas. That looked amazing. Did you love it? We did love it. It was so much fun. And then I might say, I gotta ask you, is it crazy expensive? Because I always thought traveling over the holidays to do something like that would be astronomical. They might say it was insanely expensive. We had to save up for a year and a half to do it. You're like, oh my God, how much was it? Can you tell me? Start having those conversations, but right there, in me just asking a couple of questions, and if you think about this, there's literally not a conversation that you can't begin to pivot because of the questions that you're asking, right? We can ask a couple of leading questions, okay? Maybe the money wasn't the thing, but there was my in if she said, man, that was really expensive. Now, she didn't say she couldn't afford it, but it opened the door for me to begin to have a conversation about money with her. It doesn't matter what the conversation starts off as. You have to immediately start thinking about how can I make that turn that corner with them a little bit. That's when you begin to identify the need or the problem. Now, keep in mind, you guys, that for some conversations, this is going to take more than just like a one-time conversation, okay? Sometimes this is a little bit more back and forth before we get to that point, okay? So I want you to think about that too. That's the value of starting the conversation and continuing the conversation. Just so if you're not doing this yet, you have to be doing this. Every single person that you start a conversation with should be going on your list as a lead. Every single one of them. Because those conversations have to continue, right? We've all heard 7 to 21 exposures before someone is ready, right? You can get a lot of exposures out in conversation, but you have to keep having that conversation, right? It doesn't have to take a lot of time, but it might take more than the very first time you talk to them. Maybe not, but it might. Okay. So you have to figure out maybe where that pain point is. And that can be where the conversation leads after that, right? So whatever it was that you connected to them about, you can lead them back to the product or the business. There is literally not a conversation starter out there that you can't bring back to the product or a business. There's not. You also really want to make sure that you are sharing your own personal thoughts with this, your own personal experience. When you let somebody relate back to you, she says, man, it was so expensive. It took us a year and a half to save up. Be like, oh my word, I can't imagine what that must have cost. I remember just trying to make it through Christmas and I had to go to like the Dollar Tree. Like, girl, I can't even imagine. Like, that sounds crazy. I don't know, actually, if you've ever considered extra cash in your bank account, if you've ever even wanted that, if you've ever, and that's not the best segue, but you know what I'm saying? As far as like, we already hit the money thing, and I can tell her, like, hey, I've been there. I've struggled to pay for things. I love that you guys went to Mexico for Christmas. What if you didn't have to wait a whole year and a half to save up for that? Seriously, always find something to be able to relate to them with, and you will. Maybe it's not your personal story, but maybe you know somebody who is, right? Maybe you've never really struggled with money. Maybe you're here because of the products, but you probably know somebody who has. Where we get stuck is we think that pivoting and relating is somehow going to make them think that we're trying to scam them on something, or that suddenly we're like, if I'm bringing you in and then I'm saying, hey, I have something also that I've experienced the same, or my friend literally just went through that. She just joined my business because she was looking for extra cash because she was so tired of never being able to do anything over Christmas with her kids. This is the value of the testimony group too, right? Getting to know some of those stories. Hold on. You can bring in a personal story about the product or the business to literally every single conversation you're having. Somebody says, I'm doing great. No, I'm not using that one. We're not there yet. Never mind. Erase that part. The next thing I want you guys to think about is making it about them, okay? As you're making a relatable statement to them, you need to continue to bring it back into being relatable to them. Now, I jumped right into the money, but it can absolutely be about the product too, right? This can happen for the product. I'll tell you, most of my, not most, I would say 75% of the people who are running businesses successfully in my organization started off as customers. Now, I lead with the business because that's what I like, and I know everybody needs money. And so I can pivot any conversation to money very quickly because I don't actually know one single human being that doesn't need extra cash. People either need it or they have some and they want more. Keep that in mind when you're having your conversations about money. But let's say you're just trying to have a conversation about the product, right? Your goal is you're just starting your conversations. You want to start selling the daily health system, right? That's what you're talking about. You can you can flip the focus back on them, okay? So let's say she says, I've been doing great. Awesome. What's been new? Are you still working here, there, or wherever? This is why I do the green light challenge because pretty much everybody on your Facebook you've probably had at least one conversation with, and this is where you learn how to be real good at this. Are you still working in the ER? Oh God, yeah, I'm still working in the ER. Are you still doing nights? Yes, I'm exhausted. I hate it. There's my in. There's my in to say something relatable and also to flip it back on them. Okay? You want to relate, you want to share the story, and then we want to flip it back. Like, oh, I remember for me, I was a paramedic for 17 years. So if you struggle with sleep, I got you. You struggle with stress, I got you. You struggle with shift work, I got you. You struggle with relationships at home, I got you. You could probably find something in your own life that you can find relatable to almost every conversation. Almost every one. Start thinking about those things when you start having the conversation. Keep it really light and casual, especially if you're just in the beginning of your conversations with this person, okay? Now, I will tell you sometimes it gets deep quick. This seems to happen to me a lot. People tell me their life story and I barely know them, no matter where I go. Anybody else have that happen to them? I don't know what that is, but it's literally, I go anywhere, they don't know me at all. They'll turn around in the grocery store line and be like, this is a long line. And, last year my husband killed himself. And then, I mean, it just like, it all the time. And so mine tend to go real deep, real quick. But when we're having a conversation that maybe you don't know that person very well, keeping it a little bit lighter will also keep you feeling postured. Because remember, you have to stay postured through this whole conversation. You have to stay confident. You have to stay feeling like you're relating to them, but you have something that they need. I'm always thinking that when I'm having I have something that you need. I just have to get you to, we just have to get you to the point where you see it, okay? When you do this correctly and you begin to pivot and you figure out what the problem is as you're asking the questions, because it will come up. No matter what, everybody's got something. And if you're asking the right questions, if you're following the trail, selling doesn't feel like selling. We're not actually selling them anything. And that's the thing to really remember. You're not selling them anything. You're solving a problem. You have a solution. And we literally have a solution for, I won't say everything, a lot. There are a lot of health things that we have a solution for. Money doesn't fix everything, but man, does it help. And money gives options. My feed in my Facebook sometimes is full of people literally just posting their cash apps. I feel terrible asking for help, but I can't get food for my kids this week. Or their Venmo. People that I know are not normally struggling, okay? So there's going to be a way for you to connect to what their pain point is no matter who they are. Hold on. I got to go back. I spent too much time on that one. So, whoops. Nope, nope, nope. One other thing that you can do if you feel like the conversation maybe you're struggling to pivot it a little bit, you can kind of drop a teaser in there, even if you didn't come to a pain point, right? Maybe you're asking a couple leading questions and you're feeling like maybe this person just isn't really wanting to share. You could drop a teaser in there. Okay? You could keep it really brief. You'd be like, hey, if somebody said, okay, so let's go back to the lady who wanted to go to, she took her family to Mexico over Christmas. You could say, I love that. One of my favorite things is that in my business, we have free trips and you can earn extra cash towards trips. Like if you just want to take some. That is one of the cool things about my business. When you mentioned going to Mexico, it immediately made me think of that. Because my company actually just sent a bunch of people to Mexico for free. I just made that pivot because I related it to what she was talking about. It was kind of a teaser. I didn't ask her a question. I didn't ask her if she wanted to know more about my business or product. I just said, if you didn't know, this is something that my company actually does, which I love. I love that you went to Mexico. My company just sent 50 people to Mexico. I personally got to be one. I love that. We're dropping some of those. Make sure that you are guiding and you're not chasing these people in the conversations, okay? You have control over how this conversation goes. When they begin to show some interest, which they will, maybe it's the very first conversation, maybe it's the second conversation, then you have to take control of that very next step, okay? That's when you begin to involve the tools. So you find that pain point, you find where there's that connection, you kind of flip it back on them, you relate, you flip it back on them, and then you guide them through the process till you get to the end result, which is the tool, right? That's why we have these tools. We have testimony groups. We have an incredible 10-minute video that the Parkers, a brand new one that they just made. Tina's got a phenomenal one that she's made. We've got an overview happening tomorrow night. Most weeks it's Mondays and Wednesdays. We have a bunch recorded. We have a testimony group with 160,000 people in it. Those are the tools. That's when you bring in the tool, okay? Utilizing the tool as you're pivoting the conversation is going to be super important. And also, the biggest key that I want to make sure you understand, again, highlighting, is even if they hesitate, okay? I will tell you that I do not convert every conversation 100% of the time. I still don't. I'm a lot better at it than I used to be because I'm very postured. I'm very confident when I'm having these conversations. I'm not rude. I'm not pompous, but I am very confident. I want to be so confident. It makes me think of that thing in Tommy Boy. We said the dad was a really good salesman. I don't know if you guys seen this. One of my favorite movies. I've seen it 60 million times. And he said, your dad was such a good salesman, he could sell a ketchup popsicle to a woman in white gloves. That's how good I want to be. I want to sell the ketchup popsicle to the woman in white gloves. I want to be so postured that it would make, she absolutely should maybe not take my ketchup popsicle. She's got white gloves, but I'm going to sell her that popsicle and she's taking it. I want to be that good. I think about that. I want to be so postured. If you continue to stay postured and confident, it actually doesn't matter which way that conversation goes. It won't matter. Because here's the thing that you absolutely need to know. Everything we have is for somebody. Everything we have is something that can help somebody. But there are people sitting out there waiting for you to have the conversation with them. They don't actually get to feel better. They don't get to have the financial freedom. They're going to continue to struggle if you just stay in your own head. And if you decide that that it's too spammy, I'm not good at this, I feel nervous. If that's where your brain is, people are going to miss out. I know that's been said more than once this week. That was such a shift for me. where I was like, I have to have these conversations. There are moms out there that aren't being good moms right now because they're so maxed out and their kids are suffering and their husbands are suffering and they're suffering. There are families that can't sleep because we got to pick what bill we're going to pay. Who's been there? I've been there a lot. What do we pay this month? What do we got to push off? How selfish of me to make this about me and how I feel. There are people waiting for me to get over myself and show up in their inbox. And that's the case for every single one of us. Each person on here has a sphere of people in their life that they have access to that need this. And they won't get it until you make it not about you anymore. Think about the ways that you're struggling and you're suffering. Because everybody's got something, right? And if somebody had a solution and they didn't tell you, how would that make you feel? You could help me, help my kids, help my husband, right? So that's really the biggest thing that I want you to take away. There is going to be, you can find a spot in every conversation to pivot it. You can relate everything back to money or the product, what the product can provide a solution for. You just got to keep asking questions. Keep being authentic. Keep bringing it back to that person. Keep relating to that person. And one more thing that I want to tell you guys before I turn it over to the incredible Alesha, who's going to give you even more better tips, is I really want you to think about the fact that you're in a place like this right now. One of the reasons we're teaching you this is because this is a critical part of being able to grow, because all business is conversation. But one thing that I really want you to utilize, if you're not already, is the three-way chat, okay? If you feel stuck in a conversation with somebody, first of all, reach out to your upline before you do the three-way chat, okay? Reach out to your upline and ask them for help, because there's lots of times you might just get stuck as you're learning this, that they will be able to help that pivot, okay? So we're giving you some tools that you can begin to implement, but just know that you can reach out to your upline at any time and they can help, okay? Because it does take some time to learn how to be good at pivoting. But once you get it down, game over. Game over. The whole world is your oyster. Every single person out there is a prospect. Every single person is going to have something that we can relate to, either the product or the business. Every time. Okay. I'm going to now have you guys hear from the absolutely incredible, one of my favorite people, Alesha Limbo. If you guys don't know anything about her, she's absolutely insane. I've actually known her almost my entire life. I think we met when I was maybe 6 years old. It's been a million years. We grew up together. This girl had never done network marketing before. She's got 5 kids. Her husband was deployed. And she started stalking me, I think, right? Is that how it worked? No, she wasn't stalking me. She did see some of my stuff, and we started having a conversation. And she decided that she was going to jump into the business, but it was really just to get the platinum pack with all the products so her family could try it out. And everything shifted. This is what I mean. So many of my people convert from being customers to associates. She literally went from not knowing anything to sapphire. In what, Alesha? 8 months? 5 months? 5 months?
No, it was like 4 or 5.
It was so fast, you guys. She's never done network marketing before. Her husband was deployed. She was a mom of 5 kids. Don't ever count anybody out. She is so phenomenal. I can't imagine this business without her. She brings so much value. She's currently coaching with Rob Sperry right now, and some of the stuff that she's learned is what she's going to be sharing with you guys tonight. And I cannot wait for you to hear from her. She's phenomenal. I love her. She's an incredible leader. She's going to do some really big things here. So I'm so proud of you. So I'm going to turn you guys over to Alesha so she can share her tips on how to pivot next.
Gosh, how do I follow that, Sarah? Like, holy buckets. Like, wow, what an introduction. Man, can we just like follow each other around and like be like, hey, here's Sarah's amazing. And I will tell you guys, like Sarah mentioned, so we grew up together and I watched her over the years and never really thought much of it. But the timing of the Lord was powerful. And that's really what got me in. But in the last 20 months, I have really dived in and really spent time really getting better at this. And I'll tell you, it's still a process, right? We're all in this process together. Can you guys put in the chat? So, first off, Eric Worre last night was phenomenal. I don't know about you guys, but holy buckets. If you were not on last night, you need to go back and watch it. If you were on last night, you should go back and watch it again because it was amazing. If you could put in the chat, how many messages have you guys sent since last night? I want to see how many messages have been sent because here's the thing. What we're talking about tonight is how to follow up with all those messages, right? So you're going to be sending out all these messages and then people are going to respond back. What do I do? Here's what I want to picture. I want you guys to picture for a second. Picture going into a coffee shop. Now, in this coffee shop, so we have some great coffee shops here in my small little town. I love the coffee shops here. So imagine going into this coffee shop. And in my coffee shop, it's this fun little, it used to be a little house. And I walk in and the smell of coffee beans. I don't know about you guys. I love the smell of coffee beans. I love coffee. I love the atmosphere that you get when you walk into a coffee shop. And oftentimes, like right now, it's like minus 15 degrees here. It is freezing cold here. And so when you go into a coffee shop, a lot of them have little fireplaces and it's cozy and it's comfortable and you just get to sit. And usually when I go to a coffee shop, I go and I'm meeting with a friend and we just get to sit and we get to visit. And how powerful is that just to sit and visit in a coffee shop? Here's what I want you guys to do. When you are messaging these people, when you're having this conversation, I want you to imagine a coffee shop, sitting there having a conversation with them. It is not one of those like, here, okay, we get to the coffee shop and we sit down and I got my coffee and I'm drinking, let's say I'm drinking my English coffee latte. And I'm sitting there and we're visiting and we start talking and I say something and then they say, nope, I'm not interested. Okay. Do I get up at that point and walk away? Do I get really offended? What do I do? What do I do in this conversation? That is really, I think, a powerful way to look at these conversations that you're starting, that you're having with these people, is how would you do it in a coffee shop? So I look at this and I'll tell you guys, mind you, what I'm sharing with you is not something that I had mastered then because I was scrolling through my messages today. Oh my goodness. I feel like I should probably go back and apologize like the first 500 people I messaged like 20 months ago and say, oh my, I had no idea what I was doing. I am so sorry. Holy buckets. I can't believe I was totally spamming you. But here's the deal. In that process, I have learned, right? In that process, I have learned how to get better. It wasn't something that happened overnight. It wasn't something that was like, boom, I got it. I sent out my first message and I totally rocked that. I don't know about you guys, but I was amazing. No, I had to just do it. I had to just continue to message. I had to just learn in the process. So when you guys are doing this and you look back and you go, oh, that was bad. Oh, that was bad. It's okay. Give yourself some grace. One of the things I tell my people, the ones that are joining my team, I say, listen, this is like learning a whole new job, right? A whole new job that you're learning. Don't expect in the first day to have it nailed because you won't. It's a process. Give yourself the grace. So, one of the things when I start messaging, I encourage you guys to actually have a even a you think of the power pose, have that even a power statement before you start to message. And this is Sarah talked a lot about this with posturing. Is I want you to come up with a statement that says, I know what I have here. It is powerful. It is life changing. I want everybody to experience what I'm experiencing. These products have changed lives. This business has transformed families. This community has changed my world. And you're going to say this to yourself before you go in and message, because this is going to really build yourself up to go, okay, I know what I have here. I know what I have here. And you guys, I have to do that like every time I go to message. This isn't something I did, 20 months ago and now I'm good. I do that every single time I get in the mindset to connect and go, wait a second. What I have here is powerful. What I have here is changing lives. And why would I not want somebody else to know about that? Why would I not be shouting it from the rooftops? I tell everybody this, like, oh, I'd shout it from the rooftops, but I have a metal roof and it's really steep. I don't want to get injured. So instead, I'm going to do it on Facebook and I'm going to do it in Messenger and I'm going to reach out to people. So go in first with that power statement. Now, when you do that, and remember, you're in the coffee shop, right? You're in the coffee shop. When you sit down with somebody, you want to have a conversation. You want to go back and forth on things. I'm going to reference a lot of what I'm learning. So as I was going back in my messages, I'd have a lot of people be like, I'd be like, hey, oh, I'm so excited. Do you wanna like check this out? And they're like, yes. Okay. And then I would send this like long, crazy statement. And that was it. That was it. I didn't ask questions. I just vomited all over them. How many of you guys put in the chat if you've done that? Put a one in the chat if you guys do that or if you've done that. Because remind me, I'm not alone, right? Like we're all in this together and we're all learning this together. So, great thing is, you're going to learn, right? You're going to learn not to vomit on them. So when you go in, I want you to ask questions. If they say yes, you've gone in and you started this conversation, and like even Sarah said, how can you just ask, weave it into that conversation? One of the things that when Rob and I were talking, and this coaching I did with Rob Story was just phenomenal. If you guys can invest in yourself, do it. Find a way to learn and learn from the experts. But one of the things he said is, well, people get nervous. Like, what happens if they think I have a hidden agenda? What happens if they think that like that's the whole reason why I messaged them? And then you get nervous, right? So then all of a sudden you're thinking now your power pose is dropping a little bit. Now you're not as confident. Okay. Here's what I want you guys to see. And he put this such a great way. He's like, well, when I asked my wife out on a date, I had an agenda, right? He wanted to ask her out on a date. When he asked her to marry him, yeah, he had an agenda. You guys, I'll tell you, when he was telling me the story about that, and I thought that's so true. Like we do all have agendas. My husband and I always tell our story of when we got together. I asked him, and it's a funny story because I was tired of waiting. I was tired of waiting around. We dated for almost 3 years, and he was at annual training. He's in the guards, and I called him and I said, I think I bought our engagement ring. He laughs like, what? Yeah, I think I did on an option. You guys, I had an agenda. I wanted to get married. I was tired of waiting, right? So, point is, when we reach out, yes, we do. But here's the deal: it's how you have this conversation leading up, and how you continue to posture yourself. That power statement is powerful because you know what you're coming in with is going to change their life. You know you're coming in with a motive because you want to change their life. because your life has been changed, because everybody in here, your life has been changed. So when you go in and you switch it, and it can be something as little as, and I know Sarah had such great examples, holy buckets. Definitely go back and listen to hers as well. But when you, like an example would be, I'm in a family that loves to travel Facebook group, and it's just the coolest stuff that people post. And so now I'm friending those. And I'm at the end of this, I will give you guys a little tip on how to work in groups because this is really powerful. But as I'm friending them and we're getting into conversations outside of the Facebook, I'm asking them things like, wow, you love to travel. Oh my goodness. My kids, like when we're traveling, our stomachs, we don't feel very good like when we travel. What do you guys take? What are some supplements that you use? Because I don't know about you guys, but when my kids and I, my husband and I, when we travel, mm, all that eating out stuff, it does me in. So guess what? I can bring up how we use Enrich and how much has changed my family in that conversation. It can be really easy. So let me give you a couple really practical things in these conversations. You want to pivot or to transition within the first conversation to the third conversation. I'm not saying messages, I'm saying conversation. So say you have a great conversation. Oh my goodness, you love sure. Oh, that's so cool. I do too. Oh my goodness, where do you guys all travel to? Oh, that's so awesome. Okay, blah, blah, blah. And then the next day, I reach back out and say, oh my goodness. You know what I was thinking about our conversation last night? And one of the things that has made a huge difference for my family when we travel is we take this pre and probiotic. It is phenomenal. I don't know about your family, but my family has tummy problems when we travel. And I bring it up in that second conversation. So within the first to the third conversation, you need to be bringing it up. If you've gone past that third conversation, it's really hard to get it back, right? So just be aware of that in these conversations. That's your goal. Now, you are going to find it might work different for you versus somebody else. For me, I'm not much for small talk. So I really like to actually, towards the end of the first conversation into the second one, I like to get to it pretty quickly because that's just how I am. To me, I'm not really myself if I'm drawing it out further and further. That's just how I work. Now, you might enjoy the small talk and go into the third, and that's okay. But you just need to figure it out in that space. Here's the other thing I would encourage you to do is go back and look at your conversations and see which ones have worked better. It goes back to the plan, do, review, right? That's what Eric Worre talks about all the time. So you plan it, go, okay, I'm gonna talk within the first three conversations. I'm gonna do it, and then I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna look where was the ones that commented, maybe where was the best transition for me? Was it in the first, second, or third conversation? Okay, but it's super powerful to do it in those. Here are two different things that I'm using in my conversations that have been powerful for me. The first one, and I remember hearing this many times when I first started, and I was like, I don't like that. I would cringe at it, and I don't know why. But now I know it's because I felt like I was too forceful. But actually, I'll explain to you why this is super powerful. So I want you to ask them, and you can do this even. This would be after, say, you've transitioned and you've gotten them in front of the product or you've gotten them in front of a presentation. But you're going to ask them on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being, and you can even do it could be as silly as, however you do it, but 1 being that was the stupidest presentation I've ever seen. I never want to see it again. To 10, holy buckets, can I give you my card now? Where do you fit in 1 to 10? And you could ask them that. And here's what I love is when you do that, you give them, you get a very clear direction of where are you lacking in the questions you've asked, where are you lacking in what you've how you've approached them. Are you just pulling like, are you saying, hey, okay, let's get you signed up today? And they're at a 2, right? It's giving you direction. So you need to ask them 1 to 10, where are you at? If they are 6 or below, you got to be asking more questions. You got to be digging in a little bit more, giving them more information. You guys, our job, and I know Sarah said, our job is not, I don't feel, is to sell. Our job is to educate them on why do they need these products? Why do they need this business to change their world? Why? So it gives you a little direction if they're 6 or below. Now, if they're 7 or above, guess what? That means you need to posture up and they're ready. So now you get to go ask them a little more. Hey, okay, if I can sign you up today, let's get you rolling so we can get your money back right away. But it's really powerful. That question, like I said, when I first started, I was like, oh, I do not want to ask that. And now I'm like, oh, it's giving me so much direction in where to go and what to ask, right? So definitely do that. And here's the other one. And this one, oh my goodness, this one, this is a game changer. And I think even Eric mentioned it last night, or maybe it was one of the other videos I was watching of his recently. Um, if I were, would you? If I were, would you? And that can be if I were to send you this 10-minute video, would you watch it? Here's the cool thing. I just did that today just to like, have a little bit of fun with it. And I've been using it now for a while, but really, really sent out quite a few messages asking that. And I went back in a lot of questions, like a lot of messages I asked. And there were people that had been months and months. And I said, hey, I know you had at one point expressed interest. I know at one point you had said yes. And now I'm just wondering, if I were to send this video, would you watch it? And guess what? Almost, I would say over 50% by the time I got on here had responded yes. And I sent them the video. Now, what I want you guys to understand is that doesn't mean just because I sent them the video, they're going to sign up, right? Some did, some might. I mean, I watched a Zoom. I hopped on a Zoom, did the one. I signed up right after I got off. I didn't even message Sarah. I just signed up. But you're getting that exposure. You're letting them know what you have. And it's really powerful. So that question is absolutely powerful because what you're doing is you're saying, okay, if I do this for you, would you do this for me? A little give and take. And it's really cool to watch how that works. So I'd highly encourage you guys to definitely utilize that statement. Now in this, I am really doing a lot of leading up to it in just that one statement, right? So I'm going into their Facebook and I'm seeing how are things going in their life? What are they doing? And I'll encourage you guys to do this because there was one time I didn't do it. And I don't always do it, but I try to take the initiative, right? Because again, it's going back to that coffee shop. I want to be sensitive. I want to hear. I want to connect. I didn't do it. And I asked the gal, hey, how's 2025 treating you? Oh my, did I get an earful? Because guess what? Her dog just passed away. And it was a big deal. Oh man. Oh, she was upset. And here's then the cool thing. Here's what I want to encourage you guys then the next thing to really work on. Disconnect from their response in a sense of do not get offended. Do not let it take the wind from your sails. Do not let it discourage you so much that you can't move forward. So I messaged her back. Oh my gosh, I was so sorry. I really apologize. And actually, I followed up with her a few times since then and really tried to connect with her just to let her know, hey, I was just seeing how you were doing. But wow, how cool now. Now I pray for her actually quite a bit and think about her often. So it's opened up that connection. But so take the time when you message people. So, hey, I saw that you love doing hair, and you're so good at. Oh my god, I love seeing your posts. It's so cool what you do. Oh gosh, I just love it. It's fun seeing the encouragement that you put out on your Facebook or whatever. It's really cool, and I know with that how much you love to bless people. how much you love to give back and you love people to feel good. I'm the same way. Can I send you, if I were to send you this video, would you watch it? Sure. It's the coolest thing. It's really cool. So I would encourage you guys to do that. And it does go back to be unoffendable. There's two books that I read before I joined this industry, and I think it was totally the Lord that helped me to read these books before I got in it because it really set the stage for me. One is Unoffendable by Brett Hansen, powerful. And the other one is Live Unoffendable by Patricia King. And it is just the coolest thing because I don't get offended with these messages because sometimes it's easy to, right? You're like, well, they weren't interested, and it just crushes you. Or maybe they do say something snarky back. It's okay. It's okay. And that has really helped me a lot. Mindset is going to be really powerful. Yeah, okay. So the books are Unoffendable by Brett Hansen and Live Unoffendable by Patricia King. So good. So good. And I would say all just so you guys know, and I had somebody asking about conversations in Messenger, all of mine are in Messenger. I have all of my conversations in Messenger. And it's just super powerful. I know that Sarah hit on this a little bit, and I want to hit on it too as well. Um, Rob Sperry told me this. He said, your weaknesses or insecurities are being reflected in people's objections when they say if they say they can't afford it or say they don't have the time. Those are your insecurities because you'll hear if it's like, oh, everybody is telling me they can't afford it. Everybody's telling me because it might be something actually that you need to work on your end. Why do you think maybe it's unaffordable? And why do you think that is? And dig into a little bit of maybe where you're coming from, because it's almost like if it's a constant yelling, it might be maybe you're portraying it as well. And that's something that's been really powerful for me because I have very, very few people complain about price because it's not an issue to me. It's not something that deters me because of the fact that it's amazing and it's worth the value. So I don't even let that stop me. Or if they ask if it's an MLM, oh, you better believe it. It is the most amazing, life-changing thing. We get to build teams here. We actually get to build leverage. Like there's so many ways to look at it and posture up, right? This is
Alicia,
something else. Yeah.
sorry, I just want to add one thing to that because I saw that comment too. And here in my this is my favorite response to that question when people say, "Is this an MLM?" I say, absolutely, I wouldn't touch it if it wasn't.
Yes.
People are like, what?
Yeah.
What do you mean? Aren't
Like,
those pyramid schemes? No, man, pyramid schemes are illegal. Where are you getting your
no, it's not.
information? No, we have freedom here. No one's getting locked up here. This is freedom, not prison.
Yeah.
You need to look at this. That's the posture. You've got to stay postured. If you feel like you're being spammy, if you feel like this is a scam and a pyramid scheme and you're bothering everyone, just like Alicia said, that's exactly what's going to come out. And somebody just in the comments said, I feel like everybody tells me they ghost me after I tell them that I'm a rep. That's here.
100%.
100% that's here. What do you
Yeah.
think about this business? Because that's what's coming out and that's what you're going to keep getting back in
Yeah.
until you shift this. I would be so excited. I love it now when people say, "Hey, is this an MLM?" Heck yes, it is. I wouldn't touch it if it wasn't.
Yeah. It's so
They-
powerful. And I think it comes with the posturing. And people know I love that this is an MLM. I love it because of what it's provided me. So if somebody's going to come after, they're not going to say, hey, is this an MLM or a spirit? Because they know I'm very, very proud of it. And I love this industry. Right. So if people are coming at you, I want you to take that. If you look at all the objections that people are bringing to you, and if you see a pattern in those objections, I want you to reflect back on, is it something that you are putting out? Is it something that you are projecting? Because that is really, it is very powerful. One other quick thing that I want you to leave you guys with that was really powerful as well from Rob, and then we'll wrap this up. That Rob Sperry told me. And so groups is really powerful. I know Sarah and I've talked about, Sarah is like the queen of groups. I'm just really starting to get into them and to really develop, because a lot of times we say, well, I don't have more people to reach out to. Oh my goodness, I've reached out to everybody. Well, I can tell you, I have not. I still have tons of people on my Facebook to reach out to, but I've reached out to quite a few, right? We're always looking to expand our network. We're always looking to grow our network, especially if you're like, oh, I got all these people and now I'm just in this slump. It's because you need to be getting in front of new eyes. You need to be getting out there more, expanding your network. You always need to be growing it. So one of the very powerful ways to do that is in groups. And here is how he laid this out for me. And it was just like, oh, now I get it. So I want you guys to think of one or two groups that you would want to join on Facebook, something that you are passionate about, something that you love, something that you are excited about, something that connects to you in ever which way. And I want you to join those groups. Now, here's the thing. You are not going to be posting in those, in the feeds about the company. No, that's not what you're doing. That is not what you're doing. Do not do that. You will get kicked out. Don't do that. You're there to build connection. It goes back to connection, right? Some might become some. So here's an example of a connection. So one gal that I've connected with, I've reached out to her a few times on the business. She's not interested. But here's what I did find out is she loves all natural things. And oh my goodness, is she is brilliant in all of like these natural remedies. And I'll get her eventually. But for right now, what's super cool is I'm reaching out to her on all this like grateful, like just great advice that she's giving me. And it's the coolest thing. I never would have connected with her if it hadn't been for Trinant. It is the coolest thing. So remember the connections you're building, right? So get into those groups. And I want you guys to write this down, okay? One or two groups. And then you're going to go 10 minutes a day into those groups. And in those groups, you're just going to comment on people's posts. And when you do that, you want it to be genuine. You want it to be real and just connect with them, right? So just take that and block this time out. Like set it like, okay, 10 minutes or 5 minutes or whatever. And just do that. And just commenting on people's posts. Then I want you to twice a week, I want you to post in that Facebook group. Now, one of those posts needs to have a question to build up conversation. Okay. And the other one can just be whatever. So like I post twice a week in a family traveling group because my husband and I, we love traveling with our kids. And remind you at the end of this, you guys, I have a really exciting thing I'll tell you guys at the end. So you got to stay on to the end. But we travel a lot. So I post about what we, hey, here's where we love to travel and all this kind of stuff. And you get lots of comments. And then I also posted one on where's a great place to travel. Mind you, we already have some trips planned out, but it is fun to ask people their advice and what they want to do. Oh my goodness, the comments. I think I got like 150 comments. So we're doing that. We're connecting with them. But here is the really powerful part, okay? Is I want you then, the people that are commenting on your posts, I want you to go friend them. Go send them a friend request. Now, sometimes it doesn't allow you to because they'll say, oh, you're not connected or whatever. Don't get discouraged. Find the next one and then send them a voice text. Hey, it is so awesome to connect with you. I am so excited. Oh my goodness, this is so cool. My family, we love to travel. Like we love traveling. So connect with another family. This is so cool. Here's an example of how cool this is now, you guys. So now I've connected with a gal that she's coming out to the Black Hills of South Dakota this summer with her family. And guess what? I live in the Black Hills of South Dakota. So I'm giving her all these really fun ideas. And it's so cool. I'm building relationship. But it's a great way to network. So use the groups that way. It has been the most powerful thing that I have come across. I think that about wraps it up. Sarah, is there anything else?
Yes.
Before we wrap up, we're at 8 o'clock.
Yes, I know we're right on it. Couple really fast things I just want to close out with. Do you want to did you have your fun tip you wanted to share? Your fun thing?
No, I just want you guys to know that last night I got a call from my son and I'm going to be a grandma. I'm a little panicked, but I'm really excited. So just watch as my posts start coming out about being a grandma.
And I
Little
told
panic,
her,
little panicked.
speaking of that, she's got a new niche. She's got new groups, grandma groups. Look at that. I'm
I'll be
excited.
in competition
Okay.
with Tina in those groups, though. Gosh.
I will. Yeah, you're gonna have to find different ones. No, I'm kidding. Oh, but the last thing I just want to say, I am so excited for you to be a grandma. You're gonna be the coolest grandma of all time. Is first of all, I want every single person on here to do two things. I want you, and you filled this out in the declaration as well, something similar. You absolutely can do this. And I want you to tell yourself that every day, even if it feels dumb, you absolutely can do this. Because if a paramedic, 400 Facebook friends, and no social equity can do it, and a stay-at-home mom of five who's never done this before can do it, you can do this. I believe in you. You need to believe in yourself. Stay postured. That's going to be everything. Remember what you have your hands on. You can pivot this conversation at any time. You can bring it all around at any time. But we absolutely believe in you guys. So you can do this. I want you to tell yourself that. And I want you guys to, here's your call to action, okay? I want you guys to share in the Power of One chat when you successfully pivot a conversation. Every time I want you to put it in there. It doesn't matter if we fill the feed. I want you guys to tell us when you do it so we can encourage you because I know how hard it is to send messages. Like, I get it. There are still messages I do not want to send. There are messages I still have not sent. Okay? I get it. But you can do this. And I want you to share it when you successfully pivot one. And if you're feeling stuck, like Alesha said, you can wrap this up in just a few conversations. Reach out to your upline. That's what we're here for, is to help you learn. None of us started out good at this, okay? Tina was bad. I was bad. Alesha was bad. You heard her just 20 months ago. She's like, I should go apologize to these people, okay? We're all the same people here. Just remember that, okay? All right, we love you guys so much. Thanks for hopping on tonight. I hope you got some nuggets and it helps you out. Please let us know when you successfully pivot, and we'll talk to you guys soon. Don't forget about the overview tomorrow night. Get all your people on. Let's pivot these conversations and get them on that overview tomorrow night where we are giving away a daily health system. So don't miss that either. I love you guys. We'll talk to you soon.